This is TWiT.
First of all, tell us a little bit about what Prefer is. What is the service?
So I like to start with just kind of describing Prefer is it's like a big network of small world connections. And what that really comes down to is it's an app for discovering professionals that your friends and your family may be using, but you don't quite have as easy access to them as you would like to have. So a great example is how often or how many times, and maybe the answer is 0, have you asked your friends for recommendations? Say, do you have like a favorite dry cleaner you like using? Do you have a dog walker or maybe a babysitter? And what you're really looking for is you're looking for like a trusted referral. And you're not really going to Yelp, and you're not going to Google, and you're not going to, not to name out competitors, but you're really, the key indicator is you're looking for trust, and you're looking for someone that your friends have already vetted for you. And so we're trying to take that idea of that trusted referral and turn it into a service that you can really tap into and use with your friends and your close network.
Nice. So I've got the app installed on my device. I'm assuming, obviously it's on Android. I'm assuming it's also cross-platform, so you have it on iOS as of yesterday as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Cross-platform from launch, and I thought, one of the things I really liked about working at Prefer and working with some of my former colleagues who are also from Tumblr is that we really find the value in having an Android app on day one and not treating Android like a second-class citizen like, historically it has been. And we accomplished that by having real native Android developers, real native iOS developers, and collaborating together not only on features, but also on design to try and create something that feels at home in both apps.
You can't see it right now. Well, now you can see it, Kevin, but like I got a little tear in my eye just then as you said that, and my heart got all aflutter, and it's so great to see not only a product team but a startup, because it's so easy to make that justification that, listen, when you're in startup mode, it's better to to develop proof of concept on one platform, don't expend a lot of resources to do both things. Those are all the excuses we've heard all these years, and I've been saying for years that if you're going to launch on both platforms, give yourself the best foot forward, and clearly you're seeing the benefits of developing on Android and launching on Android. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly won't say that it's been easy or or even cost effective, but I think it's going to pay off, and I think it's already has paid off because when I can invite friends to my network and I can really share the app with whoever I want to. I think a lot of the complications come up with, and I used to have a much stronger opinion on this before, is what is the design language between two different applications? And I would like to, maybe if you go back to the Home tab, and I can talk a little bit about this. So here it's really busy, and I won't say that this is the perfect UX or the perfect design, but there's a lot of complications in designing an app for two platforms when you're trying to figure out what's going on. And so I'm sure even in everyone's head on the show right now, and everyone who's listening and watching online, you can think, this kind of looks like a marketplace, and there's some analogies you could pull from Google Play. Like, why isn't there more elevation on some of the cards? Or why isn't there more depth to things? Like, how come it doesn't feel quite as material designy as you really could make it?
You got the fab button down there, so at least you have, that's part of it. There's some material design touches here, but I see what you're saying. Point. Yeah, there's a little bit, the depth, right.
I think it could go a lot further in one direction or the other. I think I was just looking at, really, if you guys have used Robinhood, I love that Robinhood app.
Yeah.
Really anyway, but as we develop the app and we continue down this path of trying to make it feel like a native Android app, you end up making a lot of trade-offs that end up costing you a lot of time. So, for example, in the iOS app, they don't have a drawer like on the left or in the top, and so we have a lot of like things you can do in the drawer, like adding your credit cards, like checking out your communities. The iOS conversely has a Me tab, which is the 5th tab on the bottom instead. And early on, I made a decision to put a drawer in. Like, it was a little easier engineering-wise, but unfortunately, that kind of forces you to start changing your design language in a lot of different ways. Because now that you have this drawer on the top, like now we almost need persistent search on the top, and the iOS app doesn't have persistent search. And so as soon as all these little design changes that you make, they start kind of cascading. and they force you to continue to make more and more design changes to differentiate the platforms a lot. It's really like, it sounds like a lot of jargon, but what the real world implications of this is that the support team that we have and the operations team that we have and even the QA firm that we use, they have to write 2 sets of QA docs to test 2 different apps. They have to do 2 sets of support docs for all of our users. So the further we take the apps apart, it actually becomes harder as an operational standpoint to make it run. And so the conclusion of this long-winded rant is that I've learned a lot about working at a startup and like the trade-offs between being really true to the platform, but also doing what's responsible for the time that you have.
So Kevin, you talked a lot about the design of the app, which it looks awesome, but
Thank you.
So how do you use Prefer? Like, how is it maybe different from like Care.com or Angie's List or any of those other, or even maybe the Facebook recommendation feature?
Or like Handy or
yeah.
Oh, that's a great point, and thanks for bringing me back to what the core value prop is instead of geeking out on Android design.
We love it all.
Okay.
We love it all.
This is all about Android, and all those things are related, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So one of the things we really like about Prefer, and the thing that really drew me to Prefer, is that there are a lot of things that these other apps like Care.com, Handy, Uber, these on-demand platforms, they do really well. I think Uber is a great example of, the thing you really want most is you want a car to get there as fast as possible to take you to where you're going in the cheapest way possible.
Yes. And yes.
So on-demand works great for Uber. On-demand hasn't worked so well for a lot of other platforms where, you don't necessarily want the cheapest and closest babysitter, for example, or maybe you want the cheapest and closest nanny. Like, at some level, like cheapest and closest is not the criteria that you're vetting for. And so what Prefer is kind of, instead of trying to create an on-demand platform that's delivering you the cheapest and closest and most commoditized version of something, we're trying to foster relationships between service professionals and the clients who use them. So we want to make sure that if you have a house cleaner that you like, that you can have a relationship with that house cleaner as long as you want. And really, like, Prefer is not trying to match you with a house cleaner. Prefer is just trying to facilitate this relationship and let that house cleaner run the business that he or she wants to run. So they can set their own prices, they can set their own schedule, because at the end of the day, Prefer is just helping professionals manage their relationships. And we're not trying to commoditize them. We think that the commoditization of workers in this gig economy is really not scalable. And a lot of people working in the gig economy are just not delivering on what it promised. And we want to make sure that everyone has a fair chance and has a chance to run their business how they want to.
So it's less about finding people to do the services and more about leaning on your social network to recommend the service providers that they like. So I know that, if there's a house cleaner that Jason uses, Jason has given them a good reference, and so okay, I trust Jason, so therefore I trust this house cleaner. Is that basically the gist? Or?
Yeah, totally. And I don't know how much bandwidth you guys have in your lives to search for the best house cleaner or for the best dog walker.
Well, I will tell you, Kevin, that for the last, 6 months I've been searching for a house cleaner, but I live in a small town, so it's a little, like, we find things a little differently in the small town. I mean, I could literally call somebody, and that's what I did. I finally broke down and I said, I just need to call somebody and ask them. Why didn't I do that before? Because I wanted convenience of not having to talk to a person. This is terrible. The more I'm talking about this, the more I sound like terrible. But
the world
because I'm so used to booking everything online and clicking through. I don't want to call a phone number, but anyway, that's what I ended up doing, and I'm happy. But I'm so happy with the person providing the services. It'd be nice to have a way to boost her visibility to others.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Besides just word of mouth. So this is very curious for me because I'm definitely one of those people that's like, I need to hire someone to do a little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think we see a lot of that, right? Like, I have a lot of professionals that I could probably recommend to you guys. Like, I have a great guy who does my taxes. I've worked with this great massage therapist now since we've been working on this.
I could use one of those.
You're not, individually, you guys aren't going to ask me, hey, Kevin, do you have a tax guy? Like,
out of nowhere.
yeah.
Like, hey.
But it's kind of nice to know that, like, if you wanted to browse my referrals and we're close friends, that you could see that I do have a tax guy. And actually, I have someone who helps me with travel planning, and I have someone who helps the massage therapist. So it's kind of nice to be able to share these referrals and boost their business, and really create this great community of professional services that actually help create sustainable jobs and sustainable relationships.